Coming up, it's the First Daughters Plan for families
that is designed to bring relief.
Now find out why not everyone is on board. Plus, he went from being a basketball star,
you become a winner,
to Starbucks barista.
A caramel macchiato could be very difficult to make when it's kind of rush hour.
And he couldn't be happier.
It is the prodigal son. I have returned home.
Vin Baker's story on today's 700 Club.
Well, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Before we get into the hard news, I want to start with something I think is very important. This beautiful lady who sits beside me has yet to find the perfect spouse.
This is what we're going to do.
What I have been looking for is the perfect wedding present when you do, and I found it finally.
You did.
A little Italian car that I think you would love to drive.
There it is.
It's a Bugatti Chiron, a little Italian car, and it has heated seats, and it has a GPS.
Can we get it in red?
Oh, yeah, any color you want. You want it in red?
Red would be great.
Now, this is the standard for your potential spouse, and that Bugatti Chiron, just think that it's got 1,300 horsepower. It'll go from 0 to 60 before you get out of your driveway.
Wow. I love it.
So, all right, you like it?
I love it.
All right, prospective spouse, that's the Pat standard if you can afford one. Now, here's the price of that little jewel. It is $2,998,000, and you can a third down and it's yours.
That is one awesome wedding gift. That I will.
The best for you, dear.
Let's get a husband first. Let's get a husband first.
Okay. Well, President Trump's unexpected announcement that transgender people can no longer serve in the military caught Washington by surprise. The conservatives, including many evangelicals, stood behind the president on his decision.
Democrats and gay rights groups quickly denounced Trump's move. Some Republicans also opposed it, but others say the most important issue is making sure our military is the strongest it can be. Eric Rosales brings us the story from Washington.
President Donald Trump announced plans to reinstate the transgender ban through Twitter on Wednesday. The president said American forces must be focused on decisive and overwhelming victory and could not afford to accommodate them.
He's also voiced that this is a very expensive and disruptive policy, and based on consultation that he's had with his national security team, came to the conclusion that it erodes military readiness and unit cohesion, and made the decision based on that.
The announcement comes after Defense Secretary James Mattis last month delayed a review of an Obama-era policy that allowed openly transgender people to join the military. A Pentagon spokesperson told CBN News, "We refer all questions about the president's statements to the White House. We will continue to work closely with the White House to address the new guidance provided by the Commander-in-Chief on transgender individuals serving in the military. The Pentagon won't release any data on the number of transgender troops currently serving. However, a RAND study shows that there are between 2,500 and 7,000 transgender service members on active duty and up to 4,000 in the reserves." Trump's announcement comes as lawmakers debate the current practice of requiring the Pentagon to pay for gender transition, which could cost U.S. taxpayers almost $4 billion over 10 years. House Majority Leader Kevin McCarthy appeared on CBN's own Faith Nation.
It looks like President Trump has come out after talking to his generals and others, seeing that maybe it's not the best for the military currently as what Obama proposed.
The president is the commander-in-chief. He makes decisions after talking with field commanders, his DOD leadership team, the Joint Chiefs, head of Joint Chiefs. It's important for us to support that military team. This is their decision, so we will support it.
It seems to me that if someone comes to the military with the notion of saying, I want to serve my country and want to protect this, the last great hope of mankind on earth, then at least they probably should figure out, and I say this without malice, figure out whether you're a man or a woman first, and then come to the military and serve this country.
There's no word yet on how this policy would affect the future of transgender Americans currently serving in the U.S. military. Eric Rosales, CBN News, Washington.
Well, it's been said it's just eminently common sense. We don't want to be picking up the tab for operations on people who want to change their sex when they get into the military. That would just be foolishness. And as Representative France said, and well spoke, they should make up their mind before they join the military, whether they're a man or a woman, and then go in under that guise. But anyhow, a tempest in teapot. Well, this health care thing, if it's not confusing you, it's confusing all of us. They've now got what they call a skinny bill coming up. Senate Republicans couldn't pass a measure that completely got rid of Obamacare, so they're going to try that skinny bill, and then that will in turn go to conference. Well, what is it going to be? Dale Hurd has that story.
The amendment is not agreed to.
Without the votes to repeal and replace Obamacare, Senate Republicans are lowering their sights and trying to unite behind a so-called skinny repeal that would only undo a few of the most unpopular elements of Barack Obama's Affordable Care Act.
Ultimately, we want to get legislation to finally end the failed Obamacare status quo.
The skinny bill is an attempt by Senate Republicans to keep their promise to repeal and replace Obamacare while trying to break through the division among Senate Republicans.
Everybody needs to saddle up and put it all on the table and say, this is my position.
President Trump called out Republican senators like Alaska's Lisa Murkowski for voting with Democrats against repeal and replace.
Any senator who votes against repeal and replace is telling America that they are fine with the Obamacare nightmare.
A skinny repeal would probably end the Obamacare mandate that most people buy insurance or pay a penalty, and it would not require that most employers provide health insurance for their workers. It would keep Obamacare's expansion of Medicaid for low-income Americans in 31 states and require insurers to provide coverage for anyone, regardless of their health. Some senators hope a skinny bill will pass and then turn into a replacement for Obamacare once it goes to joint conference committee with the House and Senate. Dale Hurd, CBN News.
Well, our CBN News political correspondent David Brody is with us now in Washington. David, the deal is somebody's going to appoint conferees for the Senate, somebody will appoint conferees for the House. They get together, they come up with another bill, and that goes forward, so the thing can change dramatically. Tell us your take on it. What's going to happen?
Well, you know, the scuttlebutt up here, Pat, is, you know, what are the chances that even this skinny bill can get through? And my answer is, I don't know, 10%, 30%, 70%, 65%. No one has any idea whether or not this skinny repeal can get through, and that's because no one's quite sure what's going to be in the final bill. And that's the problem. Look, overall, this is a complete mess. And the Republicans can blame themselves on this, Pat. You've got Lisa Murkowski, John McCain, Rob Portman, many others, 3 or 4 others actually, who all voted for a repeal-only bill in 2015. That's the one the president at the time, President Obama, vetoed. Now they had a chance to repeal this same bill and said, no, you know what, we're not going to do it. So look, at this point, no one's quite sure what's going to happen. But when it gets to conference, if it gets to conference, the problem is that if you're going to make it a more robust bill at that point, not skinny, but maybe 2%, if you will, then you've got a problem of whether or not it can pass the House. All sorts of problems.
Well, isn't it a possibility? I mean, if the Speaker appoints the conferees and the Majority Leader appoints the Republican conferees, that really they can get hold of something and put together a significant package that might be acceptable?
Possibly, and that's the hope. But the problem is that you've got so many different factions, especially in the Senate. To get 50 votes is going to be very, very difficult, Pat. You know, what we're starting to hear now up in Washington from the White House, at least, is this new version. And when I say version, it's the lingo, the language they're using. They're now calling it the beginning of the end of Obamacare. In other words, if they can just start to repeal the individual mandate and the employer mandate and the medical device tax, that will be the beginning of the end of Obamacare. And so what you can see happening, Pat, is that if some sort of small, skinny bill actually gets signed into law, that's what President Trump will say in the future. He said, look, we've begun to dismantle Obamacare, but I need more serious conservative Republicans up here and not some squishy moderates to get the final job done.
Well, they've got prices, HHS, that can limit dramatically some of these things. And can't the president himself withhold certain funds so that they are not funded as it goes along?
Absolutely. And there's been serious talk at the White House of him doing just that. And those payments, I believe, have been scheduled, or they're scheduled to come out any day now. So in other words, the president can hold back some of those Medicaid payments. But at this point, advisors are suggesting that he not do that. So once again, that's up in the air as well.
Okay. Well, he dropped a bombshell. Did anybody vet this transgender move that he made yesterday?
Well, look, I mean, this is classic Donald Trump. Tweeted out, no policy paper, no executive order, no specifics exactly to grab hold of. And that's why everybody's somewhat in limbo, especially all these lawsuits that could happen, because everybody's ready. I say everybody, talking about the ACLU and all of the LGBT groups are ready to line up at the courtroom door to go ahead and file lawsuits when they have specifics on this. In the meantime, what we understand about this is that evangelicals were heavily involved. I mean, my sources are telling me about 2.5 weeks ago, the Evangelical Advisory Board, it's not technically called that, but all of these evangelical leaders that advise the president met 2.5 weeks ago at the Oval Office, and this was discussed. And then there was a letter sent to the president this week, signed by many of these folks, about 10 or so, saying you've got to go ahead and basically not have transgenders in the military. And the president went along with it. What we also understand, there's a Make America Secure Act, and not to get too much in the weeds, but that was going to basically give $80 billion more in military spending. And what happened was the Family Research Council basically said, look, we've got enough Republicans to block that bill. In other words, they told the White House, we're not going to give you the $80 billion more in military funding because $4 billion of that is going to go to these transgender surgeries. And why in the world would we pay for that? So they got the president's attention on that. The president took it serious enough, and here we are.
Under Obama, they were doing transgender surgeries, weren't they?
Well, it was in flux. I mean, in other words, the order came in July of 2016 from the president, and it was under review technically. And so basically what now has to happen, you have to remember, in the House, there was this big debate over transgender surgeries, and the House, even though they were controlled by Republicans, couldn't get their act together. And basically that bill that was being debated about transgender surgeries failed. In other words, they were going to continue to allow these transgender surgeries to happen. So there's been all sorts of problems with that, but this is the fact of the matter is, Pat, because these transgender surgery, that bill got defeated, that's why the White House, part of the reason the White House took this step.
I got you. One last, what's your prognosis for the long-term relationship with the Attorney General?
Pat, it's a tough one, and you know the president's getting a lot of counseling saying stop it, stop it, stop it on Jeff Sessions. But you know, look, Trump's going to do what Trump's going to do. This just in, that's real news. That's not fake news for sure. Look, I don't think it's going to end well for the Attorney General. I mean, that's the sense that I'm getting up here talking to some of my sources, that eventually it just may be too much for the Attorney General, who now, by the way, is in El Salvador, dealing with some of the MS-13 gang corruption going on over there. So he's now out of the country. So I don't think it's going to end well for him. There is talk about a recess appointment in August. I mean, I think that would be relatively foolish of the president to do if he's going to try to make a recess appointment and, in essence, not have the Senate be able to confirm a new Attorney General. I don't think that's going to happen. I think what's happening there is that within the White House, you hear Trump talk a lot about this. In other words, he likes to muse and talk about these things in an open forum discussion, and so a lot of people run with that and report it to the media, which is a whole other issue, which is leaks.
Dave, thanks for the work you're doing. Dave Brody, our very special correspondent, doing this tremendous job, and my advice to them is kiss and make up and let's get on with it and let Jeff Sessions do his job. But turn him loose indeed on some of the leaks that are coming, which are crimes, and they've been about one a day in the first days of the Trump administration, and they're high-level leaks, and they should not be allowed. I understand Scaramucci's going after people who have leaked his financials that were supposed to be confidential, and somebody leaked it in the highest levels of the government. They've got to be put in jail. That is a crime, and it's a crime that's demonstrable. So, the new automobile owner of the year.
I got to get married soon and get that car. I want that car. All right. Well, up next, guaranteed paid maternity leave. See how Ivanka Trump is pushing hard to get that for workers in the U.S. and why not everyone is happy about it.
Well, while the rest of the world has embraced paid family leave for new moms and even dads, the U.S. is still just starting to discuss whether it should be a priority and how to pay for it. But now one of the nation's most famous moms, Ivanka Trump, is pushing to make it a reality. Our White House correspondent Jennifer Wishon brings us that.
Can I have a hug?
When Pauline Young gave birth to her daughter Brianna, she took 3 months off.
I could use up to 6 weeks of sick leave for maternity purposes. I also had a number of annual leave hours, which is the same as vacation.
Under the Family Medical Leave Act, employers are required to protect an employee's job for 12 weeks while they take time off after giving birth or adopting a child. But they don't have to pay the worker. Many companies like Young's do let workers use their accrued sick and vacation days.
And what's that? A horse?
It's an important time for a mom and her baby.
I mean, this is a new life that's come into the world, and it's a big deal. It's a big change. You know, you have so many different feelings that you're experiencing at this time as a new mother. And so I can't imagine not having that opportunity to bond.
Research backs her up. Failure of a mom to spend adequate time with her baby early on can affect the child's health, cognitive development, and behavior. Dr. Brad Wilcox is a sociologist at the University of Virginia.
We know that kind of the more opportunities babies have to bond with their parents, especially their moms, the more likely they are to flourish later in life, both socially and emotionally.
The United States is the only industrialized nation in the world that doesn't guarantee moms pay while they're out on maternity leave. First daughter and mother of 3, Ivanka Trump, is using her role as presidential advisor to change that. During the campaign, she joined her father as he announced his plan to provide 6 weeks paid maternity leave to women working for companies that don't offer it.
My father has created a plan that is designed to bring relief.
This maternity leave will be paid straight out of the unemployment insurance fund. And again, the safety net will be completely paid for through savings within the program.
But as president, Trump, at Ivanka's urging, put $10 billion in his budget proposal to pay for it. States would be responsible for determining how much a mother gets. Senator Marco Rubio recently invited Ivanka to Capitol Hill to discuss her plans. He says lawmakers want to address the fact that many don't have children because they can't afford to take unpaid time off from work. Still, many Republicans don't like Ivanka's plan to use tax dollars to pay for it. On the other side of the aisle, many Democrats don't think it goes far enough. Romina Bacha is an economic expert at the Heritage Foundation.
Right. Any new federal benefit, it's much easier to expand it than to ever rein it back in. So that's the real concern, is that while this may be a very targeted and limited approach that's currently being envisioned by the president, once it's implemented, it will be subject to the same special interest pressures that other benefit programs are.
Bacha believes the federal government could make it easier for employers to come up with solutions that work for them and their employees.
There's a proposal in the Congress to increase flexibility for employers to provide the kind of benefit package that their employees value. And sometimes that means paid time off rather than overtime compensation in the form of cash that will be taxed.
Across the country, lawmakers are paying attention to the issue. California, Rhode Island, New Jersey, and New York currently or will soon all offer paid family leave. And here in Washington, D.C., City Council granted workers up to 8 weeks of paid leave. And in the private sector, there's a push to offer generous maternity and family leave policies in an effort to retain talent. For example, Netflix lets employees take up to 1 year off for a birth or adoption.
The problem arises more on the low-income and less educated women, especially those working in minimum wage jobs and other lower wage jobs. They tend to have less access to these types of benefits.
Still, research and public opinion seem to be colliding.
I think what most scholars in this area would acknowledge or recognize is that having opportunities for parents to take some leave with their child is really important in establishing that fundamental attachment between parent and child, typically between mother and child especially.
And there's the dilemma of who should pay for it, the government or private sector. The District of Columbia is taxing businesses to pay for its program. And then there's this. Some experts argue offering women a special work benefit will actually hurt their chances of getting hired or being promoted.
Very nice, Brianna.
Pauline Young says, take it from a mom. Employers should try to be accommodating.
Jobs need to be more supportive of the family.
And while Ivanka Trump will continue to use her powerful megaphone to push for paid leave, an agreement on how to get it done is still many births away.
Dear Jesus, thank you for Mama.
Jennifer Wishon, CBN News, Washington.
Thanks, Jennifer. It's an interesting thing in the Old Testament in Israel that when people went into the army and they got married, they were given a 1 year leave of absence so that they could bond not with their child but with their spouse and get their family going. So that goes way back into biblical times, and it's very wise. But the idea of having a young mother, we didn't used to have that many married working women who were having children at an early age. Now we do. The workplace, the women in the workplace are very valuable, and we need to do something in our country to make sure that they have plenty of time to bond with these infants because they need their mothers. Wendy.
Amen. Well said.
Yeah.
All right, well, up next, basketball great Vin Baker reveals what his fans never saw on the courts.
I would drink during games to maintain an even keel. Otherwise, I would be anxious, my body shaking. I didn't realize I'd become an alcoholic.
Follow Vin's journey from all-star to Starbucks barista after this.
Well, he made $100 million from his NBA and Olympic basketball career, and he squandered every penny of it. Vin Baker is a self-confessed prodigal who went from sports superstar to Starbucks barista. And as he told sports reporter Tom Bury, he's never been happier.
When a straight path turns to winding road, the hope is that the journey brings a return. Vin Baker's basketball odyssey has.
You can always come home. I've been well-traveled, but Full Gospel Tabernacle in Old Saybrook, Connecticut has always been home for me. It just reminds me of my beginning spiritually. My earliest memory is singing in the choir at 9 years old, so it will always remain special to me. It is the prodigal son. I have returned home, and I'm happy to have come home to a feast.
What does Old Saybrook still bring?
You know, I see people that I grew up with, went to high school with, and they're all wonderful people. I have great friends here. People that I know differently. Here, I'm not Vin Baker, I'm just Vinny.
This is where you did 6th, 7th, and 8th grade.
Yes, this was my school, and had a great time here. Now it's the Old Saybrook Recreational Center. This is where Vin Jr. and I come and work out, and this is where I got him ready for Boston College.
It's where you got your livelihood. It's where you got your name. You had a distinguished basketball career?
University of Hartford, being the leading scorer there, All-American, drafted 8th pick, Milwaukee Bucks, 1993, and then of course having so much early success, NBA All-Star, All-NBA, Olympian, my own brand Jordan shoe, so really a lot of wonderful things that basketball brought me.
When was the peak of your NBA career?
On my first year in Seattle, 1997, 1998, won 61 games and the #1 seed going into the playoffs. I went from being an all-star to the next level. I won, and so that changes your whole title. You become a winner.
So you inherit opportunities by coming to the NBA, but you also get a lifestyle.
If you're not capable of having discretion, then you'll fall into it. I didn't come from a party background, but once I started to drink and hang out and party, I went from casual fun to I really need to drink. Now I have to do it to survive because my body is not responding without one. So it got really bad.
Did you drink during games?
Yeah, there were times that I had to. I think the pressure of maintaining this level of basketball made me anxious. And I would have withdrawals, the shakes, the noise of the crowd that I would drink during games to maintain an even keel. Otherwise, I would be anxious, my body shaking. Maybe I'm not as good as I thought I was because I didn't realize I'd become an alcoholic.
No more hiding. Your game falters. You're traded to Boston. You're found out. Suspensions, releases. You lose your career and everything with it.
The name Vin Baker at that time wasn't good. All the stories, all the rumors, all the money lost, I couldn't fight it at that point. I was already humbled. He knew I was broken.
What did rock bottom look like?
I was just spiritually empty. Losing everything that I had gained and worked for, it wasn't rock bottom. Rock bottom part was when I didn't feel connected to Christ. I just felt there was no one I can turn to, including God. I had done so much wrong with alcoholism, and some of the choices that I morally made was against God and everything that I stood for and everything that He wanted me to be.
The in and out of rehabs, this last one was different. And didn't you tell them I'll be out in a week?
I had a real conversation with the Lord. I need you now. And I cried out going to rehab. All I needed was get physically well so that I wouldn't have seizures. But my spirit was made up. And then I knew that the maintenance was going to be coming to the Lord and coming to church and prayer. Usually these stories end in death. But the awesome part is you can change the ending of the story around. The only way to face that head on, the only way to turn that around is through Christ.
To get back on his feet, Vin reached out to one of his former NBA owners, Starbucks executive director Howard Schultz.
I consider Howard family and a close friend, and he did take a chance on me, and I'm grateful for that opportunity that he gave me to come in here, put this green apron on, and to wake up in the morning to open up a store for 4:30, a lot of peace. Coming out of recovery, I needed a place where I could grind and work, literally and figuratively, out a lot of things that I was going through spiritually, and this is where I found that place at Starbucks.
More pressure at an NBA free throw line or taking the drive-thrus and their customized multiple orders?
I would say taking the customized orders. A caramel macchiato can be very difficult to make when it's kind of rush hour.
Does unconditional love look different to you now?
Oh gosh, it means everything to me because at one point I thought I was not loved by anyone. I was in such a bad place, I didn't think I could be loved. And that's when I found out that His love was unconditional. The Bible says new mercies every morning. So I wake up every morning needing a new mercy. I have 6 years of sobriety, but I need you today. I have a healthy fear of my past and a great adoration and respect for the Lord.
Vin is now ordained. His recent book, God and Starbucks, offers a raw and honest account of his NBA life and redemption.
It's been a wonderful and beautiful process, coming back home to my wife and my children, and my son signed with Boston College on scholarship to play basketball there. Now I've had the opportunity to go back and do broadcasting with Fox and the Milwaukee Bucks. It's part of the redemptive process. They took a chance on me, and I'm just truly blessed to be back in Milwaukee.
How do you maintain the perspective that there was purpose, even in the worst of it?
I'm convinced that everything that happened to me in the NBA had to happen in order for me to get a God perspective, in order for me to change my life, and more importantly, help other people change their perspective on addiction or help to save lives. It went from a why me to why not me. And then when you can get to the why not me, big changes can happen. I knew there would be joy in it, running back to God and running back to a forgiving Father.
I tell you, the one thing that the Lord is looking for is humility, and Vin Baker's got it. What a beautiful spirit. You know, it'd be so easy to be bitter. It'd be so easy to be downcast. It'd be so easy to say, woe is me. But instead of that, he has embraced what's happened with joy because he knows he's found a treasure far greater than $100 million and a great career, the NBA. But you see, God takes you. You don't have to be a superstar athlete to be accepted by God. You don't have to be a rich billionaire or millionaire to be accepted by God. That wonderful psalm, just as I am without one plea, but that thy blood was shed for me. And you know, I come without any plea. O Lamb of God, I come. That's what happened to him, and that's what can happen to you. You may have a mess in your marriage. You may have a mess in your business. You may have a mess in your personal relations. You may have been busted and gone to jail. You may have all kinds of things labeled on you. But the one thing that is true is that you can turn to the Lord. And just like the prodigal, the father will run to throw his arms around you and say, welcome home. Now, if you want to find the Lord, just call on him. The Bible says whoever will call upon the name of the Lord will be saved. And I want you to call on him right now and say, Lord, you know what a mess I've made of things. Just please forgive me and take me back. Give me a life with you, a humble, humble life. And Vin Baker's got it. What an amazing testimony. But you don't have to wind up, you know, serving extra latte coffee at a Starbucks. And you don't have to necessarily lose everything you have. Right now, though, you can make a decision. And before it's too late, make that decision and say, Lord, I accept you. Our telephone number is really available to you right now. It's 1-800-700-7000. 1-800-700-7000. So call up right now and say, look, I just heard that message. I want to tell you, I want to accept the Lord. Pray with me. So somebody's here who loves you. Call right now, 1-800-700-7000. Okay? Wendy.
Thanks, Pat. Still to come, meet a popular artist who paints the stars.
I've been able to do stuff with Tim Tebow, to Jerry Rice, to Jack Nicklaus, Carrie Underwood. When you're painting, you don't realize the impact that it's having on other people a lot until they come and tell you about it.
See how Jared Emerson not only paints works of art, he also performs them. That's coming up later.
And welcome back to the 700 Club. President Trump is set to nominate Kansas Governor Sam Brownback as the ambassador at large for international religious freedom. If the Senate confirms, he'll run the State Department's office, which promotes religious freedom through foreign policy. Brownback tweeted, "Religious freedom is the first freedom, the choice of what you do with your own soul. I am honored to serve such an important cause." The parents of Charlie Gard have made the decision to move their infant son to hospice care. A London judge gave them and the hospital a deadline to agree on an end-of-life plan, saying the decision is, quote, in Charlie's best interest to be moved to hospice. Gard's parents fought to bring him home to die, but then decided hospice was the best option for their son. The couple is hoping for a team of specialist doctors so they can spend more time with him before his life support is turned off. Remember, you can always get the latest from CBN News by going to our website at cbnnews.com. Pat and Wendy are back with much more of the 700 Club coming up right after this.
Maria is a widow who's supporting her young son and elderly parents. Severe flooding and mudslides in their town ruined all of the family's possessions. Then their situation became even more desperate when Maria and her son had to beg for water by the side of the road.
When the floodwaters came to her house, Maria watched from her roof as all her earthly possessions were destroyed.
So many things were destroyed. The only thing we could do was save ourselves.
Torrential rainfall across Peru over the past few months has led to severe flooding and mudslides, leaving tens of thousands without power, running water, and often without even a place to sleep. Maria, her 9-year-old son, and elderly parents now sleep on the floor since their beds were washed away by the river.
Sometimes you can't go on anymore. But then I think of my son. He's the reason I live. And I think I have to keep fighting for him.
The sole provider for her family since her husband died 4 years ago, Maria tried to pick up the pieces after the water subsided and keep her family alive. With no source of clean water, they were forced to beg on the side of the road, hoping someone would bring them some water to drink.
Cars passed by, and we would say, water, water, but they didn't give us any. Then some people from CBN found us with our bucket, and they said, let's go to the church. There is water there.
CBN had arrived earlier that day. At a nearby church, we installed water purifiers, which created thousands of gallons of drinking water for this devastated community. After Maria and her family received some water, we heard about their situation and how their beds had been destroyed. So we decided to do something more for this hardworking mother and her parents. CBN surprised Maria with new beds, a mosquito net, insect repellent, and an in-home water filter.
With all my heart, thank you. Thank you for helping us. Thank you, and God bless you.
With one less thing to worry about, Maria can now focus on getting her family back on their feet and moving forward.
I am always thinking, work, get the things we need, and keep going. This won't be an obstacle for us, because I am going to work even harder to be able to come out of this. Thank you so much. You are going to be very blessed.
There's so many worthy people in the world, so many hurting people. Like Maria, you know, she wants to work, she wants to do something, but she's overwhelmed. We have disasters in America, and we have them in other parts of the world. And CBN is there time and time and time again. But what's happened is they tell me that our disaster relief fund has become depleted because of the numbers of disasters taking place around the world. We want to help. We can't do it all, obviously, but we can go into certain areas where there's crisis, is a crisis. We can give clean water, we can have medicine, we can have blankets, we can have food, we can have all these things. But it takes a little bit of money. So what I'd like you to ask you to do right now is, over and above whatever you're giving, that you just add a little something and say, this is for CBN Disaster Relief. And they gave me this, there it is, CBN Disaster Relief, CBN Center, Virginia Beach, Virginia. Just say, here's $10, here's $50, here's $100, whatever. And I think it'll be so important because we need to replenish this, because the hurricane season's coming, other disasters are coming, and we all want to be there so we can help people like Maria. It makes you feel so good that you've done something to lift somebody's life. So pick up the phone. It's easy to remember, 1-800-700-7000. Say, I want this to go to CBN Disaster Relief. Wendy.
Amen. Still ahead. Your email questions. Martha says, I divorced my husband after years of infidelity, and a child was born from that adultery. Am I still married to this person in the sight of God? We'll bring it on with this question and much more, so stay tuned. The first time that artist Jared Emerson painted on stage, he was scared to death. Today, he's widely known not only for his paintings, but for his live performances. Take a look.
Tucked alongside the Reedy River in downtown Greenville, South Carolina, are the popular Art Crossing galleries. There you'll find Jared Emerson, an artist who not only paints works of art, he performs them. A number of his performances have been portraits of celebrities who are sometimes in the audience.
I've been able to do stuff with Tim Tebow, to Jerry Rice, to Jack Nicklaus, Carrie Underwood. It can be a little nerve-wracking.
But the pieces he loves creating most are those that point people to Jesus Christ.
You start out creating things for your own enjoyment, your own pleasure. And then as you grow a little bit, you realize, well, maybe I'm creating something because other people need to see it. When you're painting, you don't realize the impact that it's having on other people a lot until they come and tell you about it. But to have someone come to you and say, man, you know, I just haven't been coming to church in a while, or I just been falling from God, and that painting really spoke to me. For some reason, in seeing that painting of Jesus, it was like him telling me, hey, I'm here.
Jared was brought up in a Christ-centered home in Michigan. He remembers when his own faith in God became real when he was 5.
But I knew for me, my heart changed. And so instead of me thinking I was a filthy rag, I realized that I was actually his child. And he loved me regardless of whether I obeyed or disobeyed. I just know that I wanted to, as I grew older, to please him more and learn and try to please myself less.
He discovered his gift for art around 7th grade, but he had other things on his mind.
At a young age, I wanted to play basketball. That was my dream, my hopes, my ambitions. Sports was my life. Being an artist wasn't really something that I thought I could be one day.
Even so, Jared continued honing his artistic skills. It wasn't until after spending a year in Bible college and working in sales a couple of years that he decided to pursue a career as an artist.
I think it started with me understanding the path that I was going down was trying to figure out how to be successful, how to make a living, how to have a family, take care of them with art.
Within a few years, he discovered how God wanted him to use his gift. It started when Jared's church made some videos of him painting and showed them during their services.
And then they said, Jared, you should paint on stage. And I was like, are you crazy? Like me painting on stage in front of people? Like that's not something that I do. I was scared to death to be able to get in front of people and paint something.
He'll never forget his first performance with an injured knee.
And I realized I am on a slick surface. I have a bum knee. The paint starts seeping into the canvas. And so my first thought is selfishly, hey, what am I doing up here? I'm gonna come up here, throw some paint, fall down, and what's the purpose of that? And then my next thought was, God, I need your help.
Despite his fears, it was a big hit.
For me, it was the Holy Spirit just hit me and said, Jared, listen, if I can allow you to do something when you're broken, literally, and not 100%, look at the possibilities when you are 100% and the opportunities that I'll be able to give you to not only just get out there and throw paint, but bring honor and glory to my name. And it wasn't until I think I realized to let go and not have total control and let God take control that I changed my path. And that kind of brought me down to doing like the speed painting, the live performance art, where it became a ministry.
Requests for Jared's performances started coming in from all directions, allowing him to open his Greenville studio in 2006. Now he works at conferences, cruises, and gatherings of all kinds, doing what he loves and sharing his faith.
And I never could really imagine or dream that I'd be doing the things that I'm doing today if it wasn't for that decision of, God, I need you to take over and take control of my life versus me trying to do it. So for me, it always comes back full circle. Jared, where is your heart today? How focused are you on my son? And not just creating art, but hopefully touching lives in the process. I know I can't touch a life, but I know God can touch a life. And if it's through art, then how cool is that?
Wow, Pat and I are just amazed. I mean, he, like you were just saying, he's beyond good.
A remarkable talent. Good grief. It's hard enough to sit there and look and look and look. And he's throwing things in a performance.
I mean, that's a true gift that he's using for the glory of God. Well, guess what? It's time for your email questions, and we're going to get right to it. Martha writes in. She says, "Hi, Pat. I divorced my husband after years of infidelity, and a child was born from that adultery. Also, my marriage was a mentally abusive relationship that left me and my children homeless. Am I still married to this person in the sight of God? I know that the Bible speaks of the divorced wife, and any man who gets with her is an adulteress. Please help me to get an understanding of this."
Look, the exemption that Jesus gave is very clear, except for the cause of infidelity. Your husband was committing adultery. When he did it, he broke the marriage relationship. And you, as a woman, are not bound any longer. That marriage is over. You know, are you still married? No, you're not. He broke it, and that adultery broke it. And the other stuff he did would be intolerable. So you're free. If the Lord gives you another spouse, by all means, enter into the relationship knowing you're free.
Amen. All right, this one from Mary. She says, "I know this is probably a silly question, but my fiance and I are setting our wedding date, and we've been considering a Sunday. Is it acceptable in God's eyes to get married on a Sunday, since that is the day we should set aside only for Him?"
Well, I think to solemnify your marriage on a Sunday would be very appropriate. I see, no reason why not. I think marriage is a sacrament. It is one of the holy moments where you pledge yourself in the sight of God. So what would it be a more appropriate thing to do on the Lord's day than to enter into that wonderful union that He's going to bless, and to get that blessing on Sunday by all means. Most weddings aren't on Sunday, though, for some reason or other. Maybe it conflicts with church services. You can't get a church, but most of them are on Saturday or some other time.
Yeah, most are on Saturdays. I've heard of a few on Friday, but yeah, it is unusual to have it on Sunday.
I think the churches aren't available. People get married in church. They can't, there's no church available because they're having services.
All right. Looks like you got permission for Sunday there. Okay. All right. Shelley says, just wondering, Jesus is the great physician. So when we ask for healing, why would He only heal one thing instead of the multitude of things wrong in our bodies? I have several medical issues. Pat, and you tell us to put our hands on the area where we need healed. I would need several extra hands to accomplish this. Thank you.
Oh, I tell you, just put your hand over your head and receive it as the head of your whole body, and just declare it, my whole body is healed. The Lord will do whatever you ask because He loves you. And it doesn't have to be, well, my eye hurts and He gets to heal that. But you wonder sometimes, really, when somebody does get specifically healed, why the Lord doesn't do it all. But sometimes He does, sometimes He doesn't. So He's in charge, and all I can say is I just stand in awe of the fact He'll do any of it. But by all means, ask for what you want. Ask, and you shall receive, that your joy might be full.
Amen. I like the word shalom. It means nothing missing, nothing broken, perfect wholeness. So I just pray shalom. Shalom.
Shalom. I like that. All right.
All right.
Nothing healed, nothing broken.
Okay, this is from Faith. She says, my mom and dad haven't gotten along for years now. Yesterday, in a small argument, my mom banned my dad from coming to see us. I already lost my birth mom, and my birth father abandoned me at a young age. How can I deal with my adopted family crumbling apart?
It's very hard. It's very hard for a young person to try to change the way adults around them act. And I don't know how young you are, how old they are, but it really rips a kid apart to see. I remember two of my children, one was saying, well, I love Daddy, and the other was saying, I love Mommy, and the other one said, I love Mommy and Daddy. And I think that's the way we yearn to love our parents. And if they're tearing apart, all I can say is pray, and maybe you could talk to them and say, would you do it for me because you love each other? A little child should lead them, talking about the millennium time. That's a little child with animals, but nevertheless, the example of a little child can have a huge impact on people. All right, one last.
All right. Anne writes in, she says, the Bible says that you have to be born of the water and spirit to enter the kingdom of heaven. It also says that whoever calls on my name in the last days shall be saved. This verse doesn't say anything about the water and the spirit. I don't understand. Can you please explain this to me?
Well, I think in an emergency situation, whoever calls upon the name of the Lord will be saved. I mean, you've got a crisis and the world is collapsing around you, and you say, oh, God, save me. And God will hear your prayer. and you haven't got time to get baptized. But I think the whole idea of water and spirit has to do, you know, when a woman is pregnant and she gets ready to give birth, there's a bursting of waters, and there's more symbolism involved in that than just merely baptism. And I think that the initial early birth is one thing. We're born of flesh and blood, then we're born of the Spirit. So the Bible has all kinds of symbolism to talk about what's happening to us, because it is a spiritual experience. It's very hard to get words to describe it all. And so Jesus is basically saying, if you're not renewed in this fashion, you can't enter the kingdom of God. Well, we leave you with today's Power Minute from Proverbs. A faithful man will abound with blessings. Well, tomorrow, a pastor shot 6 times miraculously saved. For Wendy and all of us, this is Pat Robertson. Thanks for being with us, and we will see you on the next 700 Club. God bless you. Bye-bye.